However, that's kind of mean of you. Though, now that I look at the inscription inside, I find that the thing isn't yours after all.
Of course it's mine. You've seen it with it 100 times, and you have no right whatsoever to what's written inside. It's a very ungentlemanlike thing to read what's written inside one's private cigarette case.
Oh, it is absurd to have a hard and fast rule of what one should and what one shouldn't read. I mean, after all, half of modern culture depends on what one shouldn't read.
I'm quite aware of the fact, and I don't propose that we discuss modern culture. It isn't the sort of thing that one should discuss in private. I simply want my cigarette case back.
But yes, but this isn't your cigarette case. It says in the inside that this is a present from Cecily. And you just said you don't know anyone of that name.
And you must know she's my aunt.
Your aunt?
Yes, sweet old lady she is too. Lives in Tunbridge Wells. Just give it back to me.
But why does she call herself Little Cecily if she's your aunt and lives at Tunbridge Wells? From Little Cecily with her fondest love.
My dear fellow, what on earth is there in that? Some ants are tall, some ants are not tall. That is surely a matter that an ant should be allowed to decide for herself. For heaven's sakes, just give me back my cigarette case.
But why would your aunt call you her uncle? From Little Cecily with her fondest love to her dear Uncle Jack. I make no objection to an aunt being a small aunt, but an aunt, no matter her size, shall call her nephew her uncle. I can't quite make out. Besides, your name isn't Jack, it's Ernest.
It isn't Ernest, it's Jack.
You've told me that your name was Ernest. I've introduced you to everyone whose name is Ernest. You answered to the name of Ernest. You look like your name would be Ernest. You're the most earnest-looking person that I've ever met. It's absolutely absurd you're saying your name's not Ernest. And just so in case you ever happen to deny it again, I have your business card. Mr. Ernest Worthing, B4, The Albany. This is just in case you ever try to deny it to me, or to Gwendolyn, or to anyone else.
Well, my name is Ernest in the town and Jack in the country, and it was given to me in the country.
Now, it doesn't account for the fact that your small aunt Cecily, who lives in Tunbridge Wells, calls you her uncle. I mean, that's a little weird. Now, come on out with it, boy. You better have the thing out once.
My dear Algie, you talk as if you were a dentist. It's very vulgar to talk as if a dentist when one isn't a dentist. It produces false impressions.
That's exactly what dentists do. I reveal the meaning of that incomparable expression to you as soon as you inform me as to why you are Ernest in town and Jack in the country.
Well, produce my cigarette case first.
Well, here it is. Now, explain this reason to me, and pray that you make it improbable.
My dear fellow, there's nothing improbable about my explanation. In fact, it's very ordinary. Old Mr. Thomas Cardew, who adopted me when I was a little boy, made me in his will guardian to Miss Cecily Cardew. Cecily, who calls me uncle out of motives of respect that you could not even appreciate, lives in my house under the charge of her governess, Miss Prism.
Where is that place in the country, by the way?
That is nothing to you, dear boy. And may I tell you, you're not going to be invited. And may I tell you candidly that it's not in Shropshire.
Oh, I suspected that. I've bunburied all over Shropshire. Been there on 2 separate occasions.
My dear Algie, I do not understand.
Anger of Russell.
I do not know if you'll be able to understand my real motives. When one is placed under the position of guardianship, one has to take a high moral tone on all subjects. It's one duty to do so.
Now, tell me, why are you Jack in the country and Ernest in town?
As a high moral tone can hardly conduce to one's health or one's happiness, I have pretended to have a younger brother of the name of Ernest who lives in the Albany and gets into the most dreadful scrapes. That, my dear friend, is the truth, plain and simple.
Truth is rarely pure and never simple. If it were, literary criticism would be a complete impossibility.
That wouldn't be a bad thing at all.
Literary criticism is not your forte. You should leave that to the people who haven't been at the university. They do it so well in the daily papers. What you really are is a bunburyist. A very, very confirmed bunburyist. You're one of the most advanced bunburyists that I even know.
What on earth do you mean?
You have invented a very useful young brother named Ernest, so that you may be able to come to town whenever you would like. I have invented a very invaluable permanent invalid named Bunbury, so I may go into the country whenever I choose. Bunbury is perfectly invaluable. If it wasn't for his extraordinarily bad health, I wouldn't be able to dine with you at Willis's tonight, which I've been engaged to Aunt Augusta for a little more than a week now.
I haven't asked you to dine anywhere with me tonight.
I know. You are absurdly careless about sending out invitations. It's rather foolish of you. Nothing annoys people more than not receiving an invitation.
You'd much better go with your Aunt Augusta tonight.
I haven't the smallest intention to do anything of the sort. And besides, I dined with her last Monday. And dining with once a week with the family is quite enough to dine with one's own relations. And in the second place, every time I dine with her, she treats me like I'm a member of the family. I either sit with no women at all, or I sit with 2 women. And in third, I know perfectly well who she's going to sit me beside. She's going to sit me beside Mary Farquhar, and she's going to flirt with her husband across the dinner table again. And that is just completely indecent. It is enormously on the increase. I mean, the amount of women who flirt with their husband in London is just completely scandalous. It's like airing out their clean linen in public. And besides, I don't want to talk about that. Now that I know that you're a bunburyist, I naturally want to talk to you about bunburying. I want to tell you the rules.
I'm not a bunburyist at all, and if Gwendolyn accepts me, I'm going to kill my brother. In any case, I think I'm going to kill him anyways because Cecily is a little too fond of him. It's quite a bore, and I think you should do the same with your invalid friend who has the absurd name.
Nothing will induce me to part with Bunbury. And if you get married, which I think is going to be kind of problematic, you'll want to know Bunbury too. A man who marries and doesn't know Bunbury has a tedious time indeed.
That is nonsense. If I ever marry a charming girl like Gwendolyn, and she's the only girl that I've ever saw in my life that I would marry, I wouldn't want to know a bunburyist.
Then your wife will, because you have to realize, in married life, 3 is company, 2 is none.
That, my young friend, is a theory that French drama has been propounding for the last 50 years.
And what the happy English home has proven half the time.
For heaven's sake, don't be cynical. It's perfectly easy to be cynical.
It's not easy to be anything nowadays. There's so much beastly competition about. Ah, that must be at Augusta. Only family, relatives, and creditors ring in a Wagerian manner. So, if I get Aunt Augusta away for about 10 minutes tonight so you can propose to Gwendolyn, may I dine with you tonight at Willis's?
I suppose so, if you want.
Only if you're going to be serious about it. I hate when people aren't serious about meals. It's so shallow. And they all the cucumber sandwiches. Look.
Are there many interesting walks in the area, Miss Cardew?
Oh yes, a great many. From the top of one of the hills one can see quite 5 counties.
5 counties? I should not like that. I hate crowds.
I suppose that's why you live in town?
Quite a well-kept garden you have here, Miss Cardew.
So glad you like it, Miss Fairfax.
I didn't know there was many flowers in the country.
Flowers are as common here, Miss Fairfax, as people are in London.
Personally, I cannot understand how anyone manages to exist in the country. If anybody who is anybody does, the country always bores me to death.
Ah, this is what people call agricultural depression, isn't it? I believe the aristocracy are suffering from it at this very moment. It's an epidemic of which I have been told. May I offer you some tea, Miss Fairfax?
Thank you. Detestable girl, but I require tea.
Sugar?
No, thank you. Sugar is not fashionable anymore.
Cake or bread and butter?
Bread and butter. Cake is rarely used in the best houses nowadays.
Here's your cake.
You have filled my tea with lumps of sugar, and though I ask most distinctly for bread and butter, you have given me cake. I am known for the gentleness of my deposition and the extraordinary sweetness of my nature, but I warn you, Miss Cardew, you may go too far.
To save my poor, innocent, trusting boy from the machinations of other girls, there are no limits to which I would not go.
I am never deceived in such matters. My first impressions of people are usually right.
It seems to me, Miss Fairfax, that I'm trespassing on your valuable time. No doubt you have many other calls to make in the neighborhood.
Ernest, my own Ernest!
Gwendolyn, darling.
A moment. May I ask if you are engaged to be married to this young lady?
To dear little Cecily? Of course not. What would put such an idea into your pretty little head?
Thank you. You may. Not!
I know there must be a misunderstanding, Miss Fairfax, because the gentleman's arm who is present round your waist is my guardian, Mr. John Worthy.
I beg your pardon? Jack? Oh.
This is Ernest.
My own love.
A moment, Ernest. May I ask you a question? Are you to be engaged to this young lady?
To what lady? Good heavens, Gwendolyn!
Yes, to good heavens, Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn. Are you called Algernon?
I cannot deny it.
Oh.
Is your name really John?
I could deny it if I like. I could deny anything if I like, but my name certainly is John. It has been for years.
A gross deception has been practiced upon us.
My poor wounded Cecily.
My sweet wronged Gwendolyn.
You will call me sister, will you not?
I will. There's just one question I would like to ask.
Am I what I think? Mr. Worthing, I would like to be permitted to ask you one question. We are both engaged to be married to Ernest, and think it's some importance to us to know where exactly Ernest is at present.
Gwendolyn, Cecily, it's very painful for me to be forced to speak the truth. It's the first time in my life that I've ever been reduced to such a painful situation, and I'm quite inexperienced doing so, I must say. I have never had a brother of the name of Ernest. I have never had a brother, and I have not the smallest intentions of ever having a brother.
No brother at all?
None.
Had you never a brother of any kind?
Not even of any kind.
Let us go into the house. They will hardly come adventure us there.
No, men are so cowardly, aren't they?
No. Am I starting?
Oh my god!
I'm gonna...
Don't judge by so much eating. This person, I forgot my line and said it wrong. Incomparable reasoning. Now, I forget the next part of this line. Ernest, you're must.
Bread and butter!
I know.
Bread and butter.
Butter.
The cake is in my hands. I'm baking up the cake and...
And
Hey, what?
all right, let's go. Yeah, I know.
Oh, it's my line? It's Fairfax, because the guy...
Is the Benjamin?
Good kid.
Okay, so let's go.
Am I to wear my arm around her?
Yes,
Just don't. Don't. It's fine. Don't.
No, put your arm around her.
Let's go. I can't even. Come on. My mustache squeezed.
This is so awkward.
I put my hand around your waist and then make me even rock. Alright, we're just gonna show.
Okay.
I have to hold my mustache with my other hand.
You need to say shoulder instead of waist.
Oh, okay.
Ready?
I know there must be some misunderstanding. Okay.
Rolling.
Okay. I know there must be some misunderstanding.
Should I just lay my hand down? We need to pretend my hands are on your shoulder.
Just in really close to it.
Yeah, from the angle you can't even see your hand around her at all anyway.
Okay.
There you go. No.
Can't now.
We're still rolling.
Okay. I know there must be some misunderstanding, Miss Fairfax, because the
Oh my God, Asher, come on.
I don't
No,
know.
there's a truck down here.
That doesn't mean anything because it's
We can hop gates.
Alright, we hop into this.
I'm too short to hop that.